Hey guys, I hope you're having a great week. I wanted to pop on here as promised and talk about our makeup brushes. Oh my gosh, I have been traveling for the last week and I did not take my brush cleaner along because this was over 3 ounces. This is actually 6 ounces, and I used a carry-on bag. So couldn't take that with, didn't want to throw it away. But now that I'm home back in Pennsylvania, I was like, I need to clean these because they desperately need cleaned. I cleaned them right before I left and I need to clean them again. So what is the purpose of using a clean brush? Like, what's wrong with using my dirty brush that I use other than it has, foundation on or makeup or whatever from using before? Well, your skin always has bacteria on it at all times. That is normal, that is natural. And as much of even though it is natural, it is not healthy. And so just kind of like if you're using your brush, you don't want to take your brush and then you have Monday's bacteria on, then you have Tuesday's bacteria on, Wednesday's bacteria, dirt and grime, Thursdays, et cetera, et cetera. When you have cleaner brushes or clean brushes, not even cleaner, just clean, it will keep your face cleaner and clearer because you're not putting that dirt and bacteria and everything else back onto your skin from previous days, right? So it keeps it clean. Just like when you wash your clothes, you don't drag it through the mud and then put it in the thing and think, oh, it's okay, it's no big deal, right? No, you want them clean when you wear them. So same thing with your brushes. It will keep your skin healthier by doing that. And I like to use my brush cleaner. I have come to fall in love with this because although it's not something that I use to really deep clean my brushes, I do really like it for like a quick, how like when you're cleaning the house, you don't always do a deep clean, but you'll do like a quick straightening up. This is your quick straightening up, okay? And I love this. So what I'm going to do is I do have just a ratty old washcloth. It's not anything cute, but I can just throw it in the wash. And if it, for whatever reason, something happens to it, it's not a big deal. I have seen people do white washcloths because one, they can bleach them, but two, you can see like when you're rubbing it, if it is clean or not when you're done cleaning your brush. So in that regard, I'm actually going to use a paper towel. And if you're not familiar with cleaning your brushes, maybe use a white paper towel or a white washcloth until you kind of get the hang of it and know how much you need to clean or spray in or whatever to be able to get that clean end all finish before you switch over to something that is just, a ratty old thing that you really can't tell. Although you still see the foundation and stuff coming off on here too. But white is always the truest test, right? So I'm going to show you on there. So what I like to do is, this is my brush cleaner through Mary Kay. Love it. I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to spray. And I like to kind of get in there and get saturated for the bristles. So this is actually a brush that I use for my loose powder. Actually smells good too. This is what I use for my loose powder. And so I'm just going to take it, and on here, I'm just going to start wiping. Okay. You never want to push on your bristles to where they fan out like that because you can ruin the brush. So I always do like either circular strokes, or I'll even take it and I will just kind of like hold it as I'm like weaving it out. So it just kind of gets in there and cleans. And I usually do this a couple times just because I want to make sure like everything's out. And so I'm going to switch to my paper towel now. And so I would rather take that extra, 30 seconds. And on here, I'm just, like I said, I'm just going back and forth. And I do not have one of those fancy stands like I see everybody having. I have a tripod, but I was looking and mine does not like face down, or if it does, I have not figured that out yet. So I'm going to hold it instead of putting you guys so you can see on the table, because I need both hands to do this. So you can see that there's still foundation coming out of it, right? And I keep doing this until it turns up clean, because if you're going to clean it, you want to clean it, right? So I want to make sure that it is getting everything off of there. I love the feeling when I'm using the brush cleaner too, because I feel like it gives me back that new brush feel in the bristles when, especially if your brushes are dirty, they almost get like matted, right? So with this, I love that it just brings it back to that new feel. So let me flip it over so you guys can see that it's getting clean. All right. And like I said, this is like a week's worth trapped in here. So this is going to take a little bit more time than if you're just doing it like every day or every other day at the latest. Because obviously, just like your house, the dirtier it gets, the longer it takes to clean up, right? So let me grab my paper towel. So when I use paper towels, I actually do go through a couple of them because, again, I'm just continuing to rub because I spray it. Of course, it gets dirty, you know, all of that. So, and with my wash rag, I just throw it in the wash and just be done with it. But with a paper towel, I'm just using what I have. You can also see too, I should have showed you this as I was going through, but like this is my cheek brush. And so it does look a little bit matted or dull, or it just looks dirty. Whereas this is starting to get that new fluffiness back. And so that's another way too that you can tell that the product is starting to come out. So the other thing is that you can kind of look in there a little bit and there's nothing in there, which is good. This brush cleaner does dry really quick, which I love. And so this is not a brush cleaner though that for those of you guys that are consultants that are watching this, to go from person to person to person. Okay, so it's good for cleaning it and sanitizing and all that stuff for your own personal brushes. But if you are going to do, let's say, use it and then a girlfriend uses it or whatever, you do want to have actually rubbing alcohol to spray on. So that can be a little damaging with your brushes, but it does clean and it sterilizes it for sure. So that's what a lot of makeup artists will use is the rubbing alcohol. I believe it has to be the 90, what is that one? 90 whatever percent. There's the 70% and then there's the 90 something percent. It has to be the 90 to be able to get everything on here. So if you guys are bouncing from girlfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend, or somebody else is using your brushes and you don't have time to actually like deep clean them, rubbing alcohol of 90, I want to say it's like 92%, 95%, spraying that on and cleaning it with that will sanitize. So just a little side note. But the brush cleaner for our personal use is perfect because if you're the only one using the brushes, it's fine. So when you are done, this is actually dry, but I still like to let it dry. So anytime that you're letting it dry, especially after you're washing it, which I'll talk about in a little bit, you don't dry them like this. There's glue in here. The water will work down. It will tear up the glue and you'll ruin your brushes faster. Okay. So you always want to lay it down, or you can even kind of have it hanging down. That's fine too. But and we do have a brush organizer that is perfect for this. It actually holds it up like this, but you can turn it on its side and they'll all dry like that. And they just stay in place. And then when they're done, you just flip it up and you have your brushes and they're ready to go. It has all these little holders that almost looks like a honeycomb. But it's really, really cool. So check that out too. But so always store your brushes when they're drying. You want to store it on the side or down. Okay. Never up when it's wet. Now this isn't wet, but still, I would still kind of follow those same rules. Rather safe than sorry. So this is my cheek brush. This is used hard. Again, you're just kind of spraying it. And sometimes I'll even kind of just pull it apart a little bit, get it in there. Because there is a week's worth, it went down through the bristles, which is fine, but I just need to be aware of that. See all that stuff coming out? But I just need to be aware of that as I'm cleaning it, because that just means I need to clean it better than maybe what I normally would because of it being extra dirty. Okay. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just got back from a trip that went to Nashville and had a great time down there. We actually went for a Mary Kay leadership conference. And the last time I was back there was when I had just had Asher. He was about 2.5 months old. And funny story. So anybody ever have a colicky baby? Comment below if you did. And so Asher was colicky. He was colicky. And so with that, I had earned some special parties and stuff. And to conserve on paper towels, I just kind of went back to my washcloth, and I'm just sitting here, kind of like what I was showing you. I'm just wiping it off. Is all I'm doing, spraying, wiping. So Asher was a colicky baby. He's the only one to date that I've had that has been colicky. Praise the Lord. And so we went down to Nashville. That was where Leadership Conference was, 2015 in January. Had a great time. I'll never forget because I had earned some parties that I had worked really hard for, and Brian and Asher went along. And so that was all fine and fun because I was nursing and it worked. And then one of my girlfriends had said, look, you earn the parties, like that's a really big deal. I want to make sure that you can go. I will watch Asher while you are at this party that you earned. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I said, oh my gosh, like he's colicky, like it's just not like watching a baby. And she's like, it's fine, just go. And so I did not question it, and I was out of there. I'm like, okay, girlfriend, if you got this, I'm out. She did not know what she was getting herself into. She's like, if I need help or backup or whatever, there's tons of other women here. There's some other friends and stuff. It's fine. I got it. Okay, fine. So cheek brush is clean. It feels nice and clean. It's not matted. So I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to work on my brushes that I typically use for my eyes, my eyebrows. So, okay. So, like I said, hightailed it out of there, went to this party, had an amazing time. Oh my gosh, they closed down Broadway for us, which is like where all of the nightlife and stuff is. So Mary Kay rented out, I think there was like 6 different restaurants and bars and stuff. And we just went from place to place, and the food was amazing. Of course, with it being a business conference, they did not sell anything or have anything with alcoholic drinks, but they did have like their own Mary Kay mocktails, and just had a great time. We did line dancing and had so much fun. This was, what did I say? 7, 8 years ago, 2015. And so, okay, so eye brush is done, much smaller brush, much quicker compared to the other ones. And so we got back from the party, did not stay late, came back from the party, and there is probably like, oh gosh, what was there? Probably 6 or 8 other women in my hotel room, because did I mention Asher was colicky? And this particular individual, she is one of my dear friends, but she never had any kids of her own. And from my knowledge, her stepkiddos that she was there for, I don't believe were infants or anything like that when she first was introduced to her now husband. So she never had any kids of her own, and to kind of go through that infant stage. And although she has been around infants, but I don't think she's ever done the whole colicky thing. So there was like 6 or 8 women in my room. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I told you he's colicky. And so anyways, that was that. But it just made me chuckle with it. And I was so appreciative that she was like, you know what? It's fine. I got this. And to be able to go out and do that. And that was just an amazing experience. So I will never forget that, Miss Gail, that you volunteered for that. As much as what you probably kicked yourself in the butt afterwards for doing that, you do not know how much I appreciated that. So, and I know that there was a lot of other girls there that came over for reinforcements. And but the funny thing is, he was colicky from about 6 weeks until about 2.5 months old. He was colicky every day. We saw many a sunrises come up, and oh, I thought, I don't know if I can deal with this, right? But everything just lasts for a season. It's not forever. It's not. And so we worked through it. And when we came home from Nashville, colic was done, and he was good, and he was fine. And that was it. And I was like, oh, I don't know what that was about, but holy cow. So praise the Lord that that is done and over with. But we went back to Nashville, and we went to food. Assembly Food Hall. That was fun, you guys. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. Such good food. They rented out the whole place for us, and it was amazing. Amazing. Had a great time. Loved it. And then of course we went to a couple places on our own. We went to Martin's barbecue joint, I think. That was delicious. And and I know some of the girls went back to Broadway this time again, Robbie's Western World, I think. I did not go. My feet, with being 7 months pregnant, were so swollen because I am not used to eating out and eating like that for the week, and probably dehydration too played a part. See, that is clean. I love it. And so I was like, and I had a headache that night too. And I was like, I'm just gonna go back to the hotel room, be good, relax, get some rest like I should. And so they went down there. But I've heard a lot of famous people pop in to, is it Robbie's or Robert's Western World, something like that down there. And I don't think they saw anybody when they were down there, but I know that somebody, one of our friends, she actually goes there to play. She's a Mary Kay director, but she also is a musician as well. And she'll go down there, and she says about that's the best place to go when you're in Nashville, Tennessee, and about how people do just pop in. So I was like, oh man, how cool would that have been to go down there and like see somebody just pop in, right? So anyways, okay. So I did not clean all of my brushes because there's a couple brushes that I rarely use. And in fact, usually the kids use them. Hannah loves to do her makeup. She is 5 and doing her makeup, but she does a really good job. She does a really good job. So nothing crazy. So these are the brushes that I absolutely always use. My cheek brush, my all over powder brush, my eyebrow brush, as far as just kind of blending things out. I don't typically use this a whole lot, but this is more of using either smudging your eyeliner, or you can use this for eyeshadow to create eyeliner with it. This is my cream color eye brush that I use with my liquid eyeshadow. I love this one, just smooths everything out. And then this is my normal eyeshadow brush, which we do have other ones too. I always just roll for this because it just blends as you're applying, and these are my favorites. So the other ones really didn't need cleaned because, like I said, I don't really use them a whole lot with it. Now, I have to tell you, so if you saw my other video, you know that I'm using my cream to powder foundation. Okay, it comes in a little plastic clamshell, and I love it. But I put it in a compact just to make it a little bit more easy for me. And with this particular one, this is my personal one, so it's a little yucky, but it goes on as a cream and it dries to a powder finish. I love it. And so with being pregnant, I have had some, and it happens every time, some skin irritations and sensitivities, and I wouldn't even say allergies, but just certain things that I've used for years, I just can't use through this particular time. So one of my girlfriends had talked to me about using the Mary Kay cream powder, and I used it years ago, loved it, but I just switched back over to our liquid because it's anti-aging, and I just used it, and I like that. Well, I switched to the cream to powder because of not being able to use some of our products. And oh my gosh, you guys, I love it. But moral of the story is, since I've been using the cream to powder, I've been using the sponge. And with the sponge, I typically just wash it off with water, and then either like liquid soap, like Dawn dish detergent, or I will actually use my straight up Mary Kay facial cleanser. And I know the makeup artists are like, do not use your cleanser. But I have to tell you, if it's going to take makeup off your face, it takes makeup off your brushes. And I like the way it feels when I use my cleanser than when I use Dawn. I think Dawn gets it just a little bit cleaner, like squeaky clean. But sometimes squeaky clean isn't always good. Why? Because the bristles on here is, hair, right? Sometimes they're synthetic and sometimes they're mixed, but a lot of times it has more of like a hair consistency. And you wouldn't use Dawn in your hair, right? To make it squeaky clean. You wouldn't want your hair squeaky clean. You want it to be moisturized and conditioned and stuff. And so as much as what they preach about using Dawn, and I think there's a time and a place for that, I do also like to use my facial cleanser because I feel like it's not as harsh on the bristles and it works just as well. So I will tell you that for any type of foundation, even with your cream to powder, you can use this, but I've just went back to my sponges. Just make sure you're cleaning them and or tossing them like very frequently. But this is my second best, especially if I'm using liquid foundation. It's my first best. Love this thing, this brush. It is so densely packed. It almost looks like a sponge. It's not. Those are just a ton of bristles in there. And with this, I do spray this. I think I just had used this real quick the other day for something, and I just want to go ahead and clean it because it looks like there might be just a smidge on there. So while I have everything out and I'm doing it, I'm just going to be done with it. But now this one, I will say, okay, see, if you're looking in the bristles, it actually does look clean. So it must have just been something on there that I got dipped in. So in it, it's black and it's clean. But this one can be a little bit trickier to clean just because the bristles are so densely packed in here. So with this, sometimes you almost have to use like your cleanser or Dawn dish soap. And I really like, so we have a bar of soap. It's called our Timewise 3-in-1 cleansing bar is what it's called. Looks like a bar of soap. And it has actually what's in your Mary Kay cleanser. It actually has, but it's in bar format. So I switched over to that for myself. Well, it kind of evolved into that because my husband was like, I am not using any type of fancy, you know, whatever on my face. So to beat him in his own game, I got the Mary Kay face bar, and now he uses it on his face and all over. I'm thinking, well, at least it's a much better quality and like doesn't have all those yucky ingredients in there that a normal bar of soap would have. So then I started using, I'm like, oh, I really like this. Then I use it all over my body and stuff, and works really, really well. Sometimes I use my body wash as well too, which I really do love. Super moisturizing. But if I'm quick and convenient and stuff, sometimes I'll just use the bar of soap all over and just be done. But I have to tell you, purpose of the story is I just take this and I just rub it on there, and then I'm just kind of like rubbing it. If you do have a makeup pad, which I have on my wish list to order, but a makeup pad, she said, will actually help to clean it better, because I feel like I do have to rub it several times to make sure that you're getting everything out of there. So that can be just a little tricky to clean, but I got to tell you what, the trickiness for cleaning definitely makes up in the performance as far as putting everything all over, getting it on flawless airbrush. It looks wonderful. It is super quick and easy, and you do not have to have any type of talent whatsoever just to get it on. And I love this. I love this brush. So that's how I clean it. I clean it with my bar of Timewise cleansing bar, and then I'm just sitting there rubbing it underwater, and then I'm cleaning it again, sitting there underwater. And that's what I do with all my brushes. When I use my cleansing bar, again, same thing. I'm just taking it on the bar of soap and then taking it, and then I'm just, you know, kind of rubbing it a little bit to get it out. And it just pulls it right out, and I rinse it until the water runs clean. And then again, remember, how are we drying our brushes? Sideways or down, but never up. We don't want the water to run into the glue because you'll ruin your brushes faster. So, and we have a professional set of makeup artist brushes, which I absolutely love. Mine is the price tag, right? So ours is super affordable. You don't have the price tag to worry about, even though you're getting a professional set, and it will last you for years if you take care of them. So, all right, guys, that's what I wanted to pop on here today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hope you have a great day. Mary Kay brush cleaner, Mary Kay brush set. You can purchase brushes individually as well too, but there are there's a brush set that just kind of comes all together, which is actually what I have, and then I added in some extra brushes based on what I personally like and use to be able to customize for me. So there you go. Happy, well, it depends on whatever day you're watching this, right? So happy week to you, and I'll talk to you guys next time.